Hey, folks, how you doing? This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce right here for the Views Expressed live. You know what? It's Thursday, the 13th of November, 2014. How y'all doing? Yeah, let's just say Obama's having a hell of a time, isn't he? He's just, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Is he having one hell of a time or what? House Republicans say FCC net neutrality laws are unnecessary. It's an overreach. Lawmakers argue commission can rely on existing antitrust rules. Well, duh. Can they not figure that out yet? Okay. Well, let's go into this direction. Pravda from Russia says Russia prepares nuclear surprise surprise for NATO. Okay, I don't mean to laugh, but you know, I don't know. Lots and lots and lots and lots of things happening. I really think, and this is just me, I really think that there is more behind the scenes going on than people will ever want to know. And I say that because I know that people are, you know, kind of spooked, man. They're kind of spooked a little. What do you think? I mean, look here. I gotta find where. I gotta find a website for this story. There we go. Here's why people are spooked. Americans' cell phones targeted in secret U.S. spy program. Yeah, folks. It's on, dude. It's on. I mean, I can't tell you, I can't give you the ins and outs. I can tell you the players. I can tell you what's happening. I can tell you what direction it's going to be going, but I'm not able to tell you who the players are. Okay? I know I know the chess game. I know how it's played. I know what the rules are. I know very few of the players. I just don't know the rest of them by name or by department or by organization. I know they're the Rothschilds, Rockefellers. You know, there's the UN, there's NATO, there's Russia, there's China, there's Mexico, there's North Korea. There's all these players lined up against one side, and they're about ready to be, they're about ready just to open up the gates of hell, and things are about ready to, things are about ready to explode, folks. I'm telling you that right now. And not in a good way. I'll be back right after this. You can email me at freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. Go to freeamericaradio.weebly.com. I shall return. Don't wait until another natural or man-made disaster strikes. Have at least 72 hours of emergency gear near you at all times, and that includes food. Get your emergency food supply today. Go to freeamericaradio.us and at the top of the page, click on the emergency food supply link. Help your family by purchasing as much emergency food supply as you need. You'll be helping out your family and Free America Radio Network. Thank you. The Pete Santilli Show on the Guerrilla Media Network, telling you the truth, whether you like it or not. GuerrillaMediaNetwork.com. Chris Ann Hall, Liberty's lobbyist. Go to Chris Ann Hall, KrisAnnehall.com, KrisAnnHall.com. Telling you the truth without all the bull. The Wayne S. Pierce Show. The WayneSPierceShow.weebly.com. Hey, folks, how you doing? How you doing? This is The Views Expressed Live. I am your host, Reverend Wayne S. Pierce, for the 13th of November, 2014. How are you? Hey, a big shout out to the one and only Bob Brutus over at WakingUpTheMasses.com. Go check out his show. That's Bob Brutus, WakingUpTheMasses.com, 12 midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. Yes. Go check it out. I believe that's the time. I'm sure he'll correct me if he hears this. That's okay. I want to get it right. It's Bob Brutus over at WakingUpTheMasses.com. Also, Nick Tucker over at Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook. Check it out. Boy, has he got a lot to say. Also, check out Mr. Brian Lang over at LiveTruthRadio.com. And like he says, stand up, speak out, get involved, and that's what we all need to do right now. Okay? That's all. That's what we all need to do right now. Now, I know a lot of people. Oh, let me give another shout out to Mr. Brian Keller over at ShakeandWakeRadio.com. The BK Factor. Go check that out, ShakeandWakeRadio.com. Hey, I'm going to give you an alternative site for this show. Okay? Got a pencil? Write this down. It's a long address until I figure something out. Okay. AmericanLibertyRadio.wix, that's WIX.com/ALR network. AmericanLibertyRadio.wix.com/ALR network. ALR network. Yes. Check it out, folks. A little something. I told you. Scaling back, moving forward. Okay? I'm sure my listeners have moved from one house, one apartment to another. You thought, I don't need this. Let's just chuck that. Let's do this. Oh, I want to keep that. And, I'm scaling back, folks, to move forward. And you can help be a part of that. Yes. Please contribute to the Free America Radio Network. Things are changing. If you want to contribute to the whole new move, oh yeah, folks, you can do that. Go to freeamericaradio.weebly.com, freeamericaradio.weebly.com. Donate, sponsor the show, get your emergency food supply. All that's going to help move the network forward. still sharing with you the truth, one fact at a time, without all the BS. That's the thing. So anyway, big shout out to all those people I just mentioned, Mr. Bob Brutus, Mr. Brian Keller, Mr. Nick Tucker, and Mr. Brian Lang. So, what a day, man. Have you ever woke up and went to do something and, you're like, I walked into the kitchen this morning to make coffee and I'm going, oh, wait, I can't turn on the coffee pot yet. I didn't put the filter in the thing. Yeah, one of those days, folks. It started out really well. It really did. Little tea there, folks. Anyway. Yeah, it's one of those days. One of those mornings. Pretty sure you all had those. You wake up, you go into the bathroom, and then realize, wait, this isn't the kitchen. What the hell am I doing here? So, yeah, it's one of those, folks. It's just one of those days. My God, I know. Let's get on. I said my hellos. Hello, Spreaker.com. Hey, there's a plan that fits your budget. Go to Spreaker.com. Check it out. Now, I want to make this clear. I am not a fan of government getting into my business on any level. Personal, private, public, business, whatever. Government needs to step off. Okay? You get government in your business, you get overregulation, and then you soon lose your business. Have you ever seen Goodfellas? With Ray Liotta and Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. Remember that part where they went into that restaurant to torch it? You know why they did? Remember that one guy that made a deal with Paulie? Remember the character Paulie? Made a deal with him. And then the next scene, you see the merchandise come in the front door and go out the back door. Yeah, pretty much. That's what happens when government gets involved with your business. Okay? That's pretty much it. But here's something else, folks, and I want to ask you a question. If you're in the Spreaker chat, please, thank you, appreciate that, because, man, you guys rock. You guys just totally rock. I'm going to ask you a question. And it's real simple. Real simple. The question is this. If at some point a city official, a business, a person in your city, council or whatever, comes to you and says, hey, you know what? We got a plan, and here's our plan. And they lay this plan out to you, and they look at you and say, how do you like it? Well, first of all, they're going to present it to you in such a way to where you're not going to be able to say no. And secondly, they're going to present it to you in a way that's going to take approximately 40% in the beginning of your business for their revenue. Okay? Business license, this type of license, that license, alcohol license, blah, 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 blah. You just go down the line, right? You wouldn't like that so much, right? So since you're in business and you agree and blah, 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 you do all that, let's just say you agree to this, right? What's the next step? The next step is to overregulate the industry that you're in. And sooner or later, you're not able to pay all the damn fees, all the taxes and everything, and you're out, right? Now, would you say that is a little bit of overreach. They start coming in and telling you how to run your business. You have your own operational manual, you have policies, but they come in and go, but you have to accommodate for these people and you have to accommodate for those people. You're like, yeah, I already do that. No, but let's just go one step further. What? The Wall Street Journal is reporting. Thank you, Gautam Negish. Gotham, I don't know how to pronounce that name. It's in the media and marketing section of the Wall Street Journal under the business section. House Republicans say FCC net neutrality laws are unnecessary. It's an overreach. Lawmakers argue Commission can rely on existing antitrust rules. Stupid. I forgot to turn down the damn phone. So, yeah, the government should rely on existing antitrust laws rather than imposing new regulation on how broadband companies treat traffic on their networks. House Republicans said Friday at a hearing on the Federal Communications Commission's proposed net neutrality rules. Okay, all right. I understand that. Okay, I get that. All right. I get that. Many Republicans have been skeptical of the FCC plan to enforce net neutrality, the principle that broadband providers should treat all content and services traveling over their networks equally, saying it is a solution in search of a problem. FCC Chairman Tom Wheeler is seeking input on the proposed rules, which leave the door open for broadband providers to charge content companies for preferential access to consumers. Democrats have argued that such deals would inherently put smaller companies and startups that can't afford to pay at a disadvantage. The rules would rely on regulatory enforcement by the FCC to determine whether such deals are, quote-unquote, commercially reasonable. The FCC wrote the new rules after a federal court struck down the FCC's previous rules for the second time in January. Of course, now, this is the Wall Street Journal. Okay. They're making, just so far, my impression is they're making the Democrats look like the saviors in all of this. Let's read on. Republicans argue that such regulations are an overreach and unnecessary to boot. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Bob Goodlatte, the Republican from Virginia, said he is deeply skeptical of the notion that new rules are needed to protect online innovation and believes, quote, vigorous application of the antitrust laws can prevent dominant internet service providers from discriminating against competitors' content or engaging in anti-competitive pricing practices, unquote. Quote, in my experience, regulation generally stifles rather than facilitates competition and innovation. In fact, it is my belief that the internet has flourished precisely because it is a deregulated market, unquote. Mr. Goodlatte, I don't know how to pronounce that name, sorry there, Bob, said at a hearing convened by the Judiciary Subcommittee on Antitrust. Republican Federal Trade Commissioner Joshua Wright argued that deals like those that net neutrality advocates would like to ban. Let me read that again because I have to. Republican Federal Trade Commissioner Joshua Wright argued that deals like those that net neutrality advocates would like to ban actually benefit consumers most of the time by reducing prices and improving the quality of service. He said such deals are part of a competitive marketplace and pointed to a successful bid in 2002 by the fledgling Google Incorporated to become the default search provider on AOL, then the country's leading internet access provider. Like Mr. I'm just going to say it like it is, Goodlatte, that's what it is, Goodlatte, Mr. Wright said antitrust laws would be preferable to a blanket ban on all paid deals between broadband providers and content companies. Former Republican FCC Commissioner Robert McDowell said the continuing debate over net neutrality rules had prompted other countries to pass more regulations on the internet and in some cases justify censorship. Can you say China and Russia? Columbia Law School professor Tim Wu, who coined the term net neutrality, was the lone witness who spoke in favor of new rules. Mr. Wu argued that while antitrust law is effective on many fronts, it isn't equipped to handle the broad range of issues posed by the open internet. Mr. Wu said antitrust law focuses on complex economic analysis and can't take into account social policy and free speech issues such as a broadband provider discriminating against a particular political party or point of view. Well, that's a bunch of bull crap right there. Much of the net neutrality debate of late has focused on whether the FCC should reclassify broadband as a utility under Title II of the Telecommunications Act, which would open it up to much greater regulation. Stanford Professor Bruce Owen argued that such utility regulations often protect incumbent companies at the expense of both consumer and innovation. He said regulators often become captive to the companies they oversee and pointed to the FCC's relationship with the old AT&T phone monopoly as evidence. Quote, "We don't have a good record with regulation even when there's a lot of concentration in the industry," unquote, Mr. Owen said. That was from the Wall Street Journal. Well, I, for one, am for an open internet. Open and free internet. But you know why? I mean, look at it in the last 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. I was on the internet with local ISPs and AOL in 95, 96, and I can tell you this right now. It's better to keep it open and free than to over-regulate it. And by the way, Title II has nothing to do with regulations. It's there's a lot of other things involved in that. If you go to YouTube and go to the latest Cato Institute video, he talks to someone. There is a discussion about that. So check that out as well. So what do we do? I mean, how do we fight back against overregulation when we know that overregulation really screws up companies, entrepreneurs, innovation, creativity, resources? If you overregulate something, the resources then slows down, or your access to those resources you need slows down. So how do we fight back against that? Okay? How do we fight back against that? I think the one thing that really has left me at the point of saying, what the is the fact that we still have people out there that think the government is the savior of all things. And we have people out there who think that the government is their sugar daddy. You know what I'm saying? Give me what I want for free. I'm going to say this. You guys can crunch the numbers yourself. I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but from what I've seen so far, I would go as far as saying that just about 45% of the American people who are about 45% of the American people, the American population, is saying, give it to me free. I want everything I want for free. The government is going to give it to me, and I want it for free. I don't want to pay for anything that the government's going to give me. I deserve it. That's the mentality of some people. Okay, now that's a lot of freaking people. That's almost 150 million people, okay? But then you have the other side of that coin, where out of that 45% that I've mentioned, and it could be less, I don't know, you guys crunch the numbers, tell me, freeamericaradio@usa.com. And I would say that within that 45%, there's a good portion of those people that are saying, yeah, I'll pay for it if it's what I can afford. Now, what does that say? That says that in an open market, in a free enterprise type market, it means that, let's say you were an ISP and you had to charge a certain amount for your connection to people in your neighborhood. You are free to set a price for that service. There's a certain number of people in that 45% that I spoke of that says, no. We're not going to pay that. We're going to pay what we can afford. And in this current state of the economy, so what does that mean? What? These people get internet service for $5 a month? Net zero, can dial up. Can you explain that? But here's the thing. Let me throw some reality here. Let me give you a reality check for a moment. The price you pay, whether through a private internet service provider or your cable service that has your internet, which is your internet service provider as well, they charge what they charge. Do you know how they can afford to be creative and innovative and resourceful? Yeah, it's your monthly bill. So what works? And if it was overregulated, right? If it was overregulated like most things are, do you think those cable companies would be innovative and creative and resourceful? I don't think so. I really don't think so. They would not be providing you a very good product if they were overregulated. So how about this? Kick the FCC to the curb and tell them hands off the internet. Tell the president, well, we need to surround the White House and have him arrested. He's a treasonous bastard. But we just need to tell the federal government, Washington, D.C. specifically, get the hell out of my business. Okay? We have state and local regulations that we go by. When the feds jump into that mix, guess what? Yeah, it's a freaking dictatorship, folks. It becomes really, really bad. Okay? So anyway, hey, go to the... we're scaling back. I'm scaling back Free America Radio Network and moving forward, speaking of which, being innovative. So go to the alternate site. You can go to the regular site at freeamericaradio.weebly.com or go to the alternate site. Hold on to your horses. It's a long name, folks. AmericanLibertyRadio.wix.com/ALR network. That's American Liberty Radio.wix.com/ALR network. Go to shows and schedules. Check out that as well. Still building the site, so be patient. When the dust clears, you're going to like it. Folks, what can we say? I'm serious. I don't know. I honestly don't know where people are finding their information. I've seen a lot of stuff, folks. A lot of contradictions in a lot of ways. Okay? I'm just... jeez. Email me, folks. freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. Go to freeamericaradio.weebly.com or to the new site, the alternate site, AmericanLibertyRadio.wix.com/ALR Network. I'll be back right after this.
Take the last train to Boston. See them both run. He's leaving. On that midnight train to Georgia.
Sarasota's home for R&B and soul. The Razor Blade Express with Dave the Rave.
And will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Ah, damn politicians. My mother always told me this country would be screwed if the liberals had their way. The only sanity I get is when I listen to Jeff Wagner on the Conservative Voice, only on the Conservative Radio Network.
Eastland Radio Repertory Theater is looking for you. Are you a voice actor? Do you want to hone your abilities? Please send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Theater at USA.com. We are currently looking for voice actors to fill certain character roles in an ongoing radio play in development. Please send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Theater at USA.com.
We cannot continue to rely only on our military in order to achieve the national security objectives that we've set. We've got to have a civilian national security force that's just as powerful, just as strong, just as well funded.
The affirmative task we have now is to actually create a new world order, because the global order is changing again. And the institutions and the rules that worked so well in the post-World War II era for decades, they need to be strengthened. And some have to be changed. So we have to do what we do best. We have to lead. We have to lead.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Hey, folks, welcome back. This is the Views Express right here on the Free America Radio Network, right here on Spreaker.com. And yes, I'm coming to you live from behind enemy lines in FEMA Region 9 from the biggest little city in the world, Reno, Nevada. And it is the 13th of November, 2014. Welcome, folks. If you just joined me, yes, onward and upward we go. When we stop, well, I got another hour and a half, so. You know. Hey, folks. We are having a good time, are we not? Let's get on to the next article here. From Pravda. That's the newspaper in Russia. The English says english.pravda.ru. I didn't put the other one on the Free America Radio Facebook page, but I'm going to put this one up. Okay. Now, I have to ask because I find that people are not very educated on what is happening in the rest of the world. I don't know if it's because they don't want to be or what. I have no idea. It just surprises me. There's a lot of smart people out there and they can't see what's going on. Yeah, okay. English.pravda.ru. Russia prepares nuclear surprise for NATO. On September 1st, 2014, the U.S. State Department published a report in which it was stated that for the first time since the collapse of the USSR, Russia reached parity with the U.S. in the field of strategic nuclear weapons. Thus, Washington admitted that Moscow regained the status that the Soviet Union had obtained in the mid-70s of the XX century and then lost. According to the report from the State Department, Russia has 528 carriers of strategic nuclear weapons that carry 1,643 warheads. The United States has 794 vehicles and 1,652 nuclear warheads. Let me just break in here and say this. Why the hell do we have this stuff? Okay? I mean, why? Why? Continuing here. It just so happens that today, this was written on the yesterday. It just so happens that today, Russia's Strategic Nuclear Force, SNF, are even more advanced in comparison with those of the U.S. as they ensure parity on warheads with a significantly smaller number of carriers of strategic nuclear weapons. This gap between Russia and the United States may only grow in the future, given the fact that Russian defense officials promised to rearm Russia's NSF with new generation missiles. Why? The progress was made possible thanks to the Treaty on the Limitation of Nuclear Weapons, also known as the START III. The treaty was signed by Dmitry Medvedev and Barack Obama on the 8th of April 2010 in Prague, came into force on February 5th, 2011. Why does it take so long? In accordance with the document, nuclear warheads of the parties are to be reduced to 1,550 by 2021. The number of carriers, intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine-launched ballistic missiles, and heavy bombers, is supposed to be cut to 700 units. It was the first strategic agreement after the treacherous policy of Democrats in which Russia managed to win significant advantage. In the treaty, the Americans, for the first time in history, undertook to reduce their strategic nuclear potential, while Russia won an opportunity to increase it. Furthermore, the new treaty removed important limitations that existed in the previous START I and START II treaties. It goes about the size of areas for the deployment of mobile ICBMs, the number of multi-charge ICBMs, and the possibility to build railway-based ICBMs. Russia did not make any concessions. Having written off Moscow as a serious geopolitical rival, flying on the wings of inaccessible military and technological superiority, Washington drove itself into a trap from which it does not see a way out, even in medium-term perspective. I'm going to put this up on the Free America Radio Facebook page, folks. I got to ask you a question. Why do people want to destroy one another? But I know part of the answer is this. It's the way that the powers that be in the world want it. Okay? I'm just putting it out there, folks. Why do we want to kill one another? No, that's a very serious question. Why do we want to kill one another? If it wasn't for Mr. Bilderberg, Henry Kissinger himself, being Secretary of State under Richard Milhous Nixon in the 70s, and having him go to China and open up trade with China, we wouldn't be in the position we are in now. As a matter of fact, we'd be much better off without trade with China. Now, some people would say, and some business owners and manufacturers have said, we wouldn't because the price of manufacturing would have gone up. Raw materials that we don't have in the country, we'd have to get elsewhere at very high prices. Yeah, that's true. But with the number of people currently out of work, I don't think trade with China is helping much. And thank you, Mr. Clinton, who got NAFTA and GATT started. And now we don't have any manufacturing businesses here. The powers that be in the world want nothing to do with, well, I shouldn't say they don't want nothing. They want to take the United States and destroy it and make it a third world country. Why? Because they want the dominance. And guess who is number one on that list? Russia. Guess who is following up very close at number 2? China. In the top 5, we are probably number 6. Okay? As far as, military, as far as might, as far as technology is concerned, we're probably floating around number 4, but, politically, we're sitting around number 6. Okay? I don't know, folks. I don't have all the answers. All I can say is we better get our asses up and start doing what we have to do to protect this country. I don't care who the hell you think you are. I don't care if you're a teacher in a classroom. Those teachers, that faculty of that school needs to be armed, period. I'm all for arming them. When you get sheriffs in other counties around the U.S. saying, you know what, it's going to take us about 20 minutes to get there. If you dial 911, it's better if you protect yourself. When we get sheriffs saying that, you know something's wrong. Okay? So I don't know, man. I don't have all the answers. But I can see certain things happening if we continue down this road. And it's not going to be good, folks. We need to get, as Brian Lang says, we need to get old bastard out of the White House. Okay? And that's the key right there, folks. That's the freaking key right there. Onward and upward. From teaparty.org. Americans' cell phones targeted in secret U.S. spy program. This was posted today, The Justice Department is scooping up data from thousands of cell phones through fake communication towers deployed on airplanes, a high-tech hunt for criminal suspects that is snagging a large number of innocent Americans, according to people familiar with the operations. The U.S. Marshal Service program, which became fully functional around 2007, operates Cessna aircraft from at least 5 metropolitan area airports with a flying range covering most of the U.S. population, according to people familiar with the program. Unnamed people, I'm saying. Planes are equipped with devices, some known as dirt boxes, to law enforcement officials because of the initials of the Boeing company unit that produces them, which mimic cell towers of large telecommunications firms and tricks cell phones into reporting their unique registration information. The technology in the 2-foot square device enables investigators to scoop data from tens of thousands of cell phones in a single flight, collecting their identifying information and general location, these people said. People with knowledge of the program wouldn't discuss the frequency or duration of such flights, but said they take place on a regular basis. A Justice Department official would neither confirm nor deny the existence of such a program. The official said discussion of such matters would allow criminal suspects or foreign powers to determine U.S. surveillance capabilities. Justice Department agencies comply with federal law, including by seeking court approval, the official said. The program is the latest example of the extent to which the U.S. is training its surveillance lens inside the U.S. It is similar in approach to the National Security Agency's program to collect millions of Americans' phone records, and that it scoops up large volumes of data in order to find a single person or a handful of people. The U.S. government justified the phone records collection by arguing it is minimally invasive way of searching for terrorists. Process of elimination, people. Process of elimination. I'm just saying. You take all that data, you sift through it and go, ooh, that looks interesting. You take that out. Okay? And Bluffdale, Utah. Christopher Soghoian, chief technologist at the American Civil Liberties Union, called it a dragnet surveillance program. It's inexcusable, and it's likely, to the extent judges are authorizing it, that they have no idea of the scale of it, unquote. Cell phones are programmed to connect automatically to the strongest cell tower signal. The device being used by the U.S. Marshals Service identifies itself as having the closest, strongest signal, even though it doesn't, and forces all the phones that can detect its signal to send in their unique registration information. Even having encryption on one's phone, such as Apple Company's iPhone 6 now includes, doesn't prevent this process. So they've hacked into your phone in some way. The signal goes out and says, what, a firewall? Screw you. And gets right through it. I'm going to put this up on the Free America Radio Facebook page for you to take a gander at that. I want people to understand one very important factor. Okay? One very, very important factor. Okay? The facts are in your face. Okay? The facts are in your face, period. You cannot deny it anymore. It's there. Okay? It's there. I'm going to tell all my friends right now, and I know a couple of people, around the country who never listen to this show, so this excludes them. But I'm going to tell all my friends this. Love you. Really appreciate your input. Really appreciate your opinion and your insights. And I really, really like the fact that you listen to this show. So, how about you guys just walk over here to this side of the room and just sit there for a minute. For those people that listen to this show that are like throwing stuff at their computer screen and saying I'm a conspiracy theorist and all that, well, you know, and you're on my friends list on Facebook, you're soon to be gone. I'm done with you people. Because you just absolutely don't have a clue. You don't want to have a clue. You don't care to have a clue. And you don't want to have a rational, decent debate and discussion about the issues. Because all you want to do is outshout me. Have you? Am I getting close? You're done. How about if you're on my Facebook friends list? How about going there and unfriending me? Take yourself off my list, because it'll save me time doing it myself, because I'm done with you. Because you are not mindful of the situation. And if you are, you're going to spin it to your own little liberal devices. And say, well, it's this, and Obama did promise this, and we got this, and oh, no. Folks. Yeah, my friends are on the other side of the room just sitting there going, yep. Let me tell you something. You're going to stand on the Constitution and say, I have a right to say whatever I want, even if I disagree with you, I'm going to tell you what. That's great and all. That's wonderful. That's fantastic. And I appreciate the fact that you're standing on your constitutional rights. Yay. I applaud you. But let me fill you in on something. A little reality check that won't bounce. Okay? The Constitution is gone, folks. Gone. All right? Period. Gone. Why do I say that? Because it's real simple. It happened in 1871. Now, you people, you hardcore, middle of the road, or, far left liberal morons have to realize one very important factor above everything else. We are part of humanity. I don't care what color you are or what religious affiliation you have or what political leanings you have. It doesn't matter. We're all human beings. And if we can't work together to bring peace, freedom, liberty, and security to this country, then we've lost. And if that means we have to go out in a blaze of glory to protect others who want to build a United States of, by, and for the people, then let's get on the front line and do that. But the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights, as we know it today, is gone. You know why? Because Washington, D.C. is a corporation. Not the rest of the United States, just that little square, 10 square mile area. That's what I meant. Right there, where it is. That's all they own. That's it. That's period. That's it. They don't own your home, your land, anything. But they've manipulated the system in such a way to where now they've stacked the Supreme Court against you. They've stacked the municipal courts against you. They've stacked the county courts against you. Even if you take the Constitution into your courtroom today, they're going to laugh you right out that door. Because they work for the corporation. Nick Tucker and Bob Brutus both have extensively researched the Organic Act of 1871 and extensively researched the Organic Constitution and Bill of Rights. Go check out Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook. Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker. Go check out wakingupthemasses.com. Email Bob Brutus or Nick Tucker, either one, and ask them. But here, before the top of the hour break, let me read you this from theunjustmedia.com. I'll put this on the I think it's already on the Free America Radio Facebook page. The United States of America is a corporation owned by foreign interests. Have I piqued your interest? Below are two articles covering the fact that since the Act of 1871, which established the District of Columbia, we have been living under the United States Corporation, which is owned by certain international bankers and aristocracy of Europe and Britain. In 1871, the Congress changed the name of the original Constitution by changing one word, and that was very significant, as you will read as I'm reading it to you. Some people do not understand that one word or two words difference in any quote-unquote legal document do make a critical difference. But Congress has known and does know this. Okay? I'm going to put this at the top of the Free America Radio Facebook page so that you folks can understand what is happening. Okay? It's very simple, folks. Very, very simple. Okay? We're screwed. And we've been screwed for well over 150 years. Okay? 160 years, whatever it is. Okay? There it is. The United States of America is a corporation owned by foreign interests. You'll find it on Free America Radio on Facebook. We're done, folks. What, you think you have a First Amendment right? You think you have a Second Amendment right? You have a Third Amendment right? Fourth Amendment right? Fifth Amendment right? What? Hey, liberals. Hardcore, middle-of-the-ground liberals. Shut your damn traps. You don't know what you're talking about. You never have and you never will. Hey, all my friends on the other side of the room. Yeah, you're over there shaking your heads or nodding your heads. You're like, yeah, some of you are shaking your heads going, I can't believe he's saying that. Believe it. I'm intellectually and verbally punching these liberals in the face because that's what they need. There's liberalism, what you hardcore freaking communist liberals want, and then there's libertarianism. I'm afraid by 2025, not afraid, I shouldn't say afraid, I'm not afraid of anything. Come get up in my face. I'll show you how afraid I really am. But I'm going to speculate. Not make a prediction, but I'm going to speculate. It's not a prognostication, it's just a speculation. By 2025, we will not have Democrat or Republican Party. We will have a conservative party. It'll be by some other name, but it'll be split with another party of, they might be calling themselves Libertarian Party. We won't have Democrat and Republican. Folks, it's the same freaking party fighting for dominance. It's one party in the United States of America, split down the middle, fighting for dominance. That's all it is. Get real, folks. There is no Republican or Democratic Party. It's done. It was over in 1871. It's done. Don't even think about it. Okay? Don't even think about it. All right? Now, when I get back from the top of the hour break, actually, I'll tell you the truth. Let me go here. I gotta do so much. I'm a one-man operation, folks. So please forgive me. After the top of the hour, after the top of the hour break with the 5-minute news and all that, as soon as this thing decides it wants to play nice with me, I'm going to go away and you're going to hear the Chris Ann Hall show for the 13th of November 2014. If you don't know who that is, go to chrisannehall.com. That's KrisAnnehall.com. chrisannehall.com. Check her out. She's Liberty's lobbyist. And I guarantee you, she will intellectually punch you in the face, you liberals. But remember, hey, doesn't matter. We're all human beings and we all have to get along, don't we? Email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. Go to the website, freeamericaradio.weebly.com or americanlibertyradio.wix.com/ALR network. I'll be back before the end of the next hour. Right now, I'm going to take a little break, and you'll be listening to Chris Ann Hall.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates, online at thelibertybeat.com. I'm Brian Hagan with your Liberty Beat for Thursday, November 13th, 2014. Gold is trading around $1,168, silver around $15.66, and Bitcoin around $450. Today's precious metal prices are brought to you by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Incorporated, specializing in precious metals since 1977. Now accepting Bitcoin. Online at rrbi.co or by phone 800-874-9760. This edition of the Liberty Beat, sponsored by eFoods Direct, redefining the way you think about storable food. eFoods Direct is offering 10% off to all Liberty Beat listeners. Just go to efoodsdirect.com/LibertyBeat or call 800-620-5520 and mention Liberty Beat for your savings today. In the news, top St. Louis city and county officials are urging residents to remain calm once a grand jury decision in the Michael Brown case is announced. St. Louis County Executive Charlie Dooley and St. Louis Mayor Francis Slay said at a joint news conference Wednesday that while protesters' civil rights will be respected, looting and violence will not be tolerated. Dooley says much progress in regional race relations has been made in the 3 months since Brown, who was black, was shot by Ferguson police officer Darren Wilson, who was white. According to the Associated Press, the grand jury weighing whether to charge Wilson is expected to make a decision this month. Beginning next year, Boulder County, Colorado will charge cannabis growers a fee that will be used to offset climate change. The county will begin charging $2.16 per kilowatt hour for electricity used to grow the newly legal plants. The fees average about $100 per kilogram of the final plant. Local officials have said the growers use more electricity than any other industry. On Wednesday, the Fix the Court campaign was launched to spread awareness on a lack of transparency and accountability in the United States Supreme Court. The advertising campaign launched FixTheCourt.com as well as ads on Fox and MSNBC, calling for annual financial disclosures filed online, advance notice of justices' public appearances, and more access for media and the public in the courtroom. The campaign also wants justices to explain the reasoning behind recusing themselves from cases. The Liberty Beat is brought to you by Marjorie Wildcraft's Grow Your Own Groceries. Homegrown food on every table. That's growyourowngroceries.org. Support also comes from Central Texas Gunworks, your online source for firearms, firearm accessories, and ammunition. They take major credit cards and now accept Bitcoin. Visit them online at shop.centraltexasgunworks.com. This is the Liberty Beat for Thursday, November 13th, 2014. Check out the website at thelibertybeat.com. And like us on Facebook at facebook.com/thelibertybeat. A realtor with Houston, Texas-based Carnan Properties has begun using unmanned aerial vehicles, or drones, for commercial real estate photography. Allison Echeverry says she would not be able to sell her equestrian, farm, and ranch properties without the high-resolution shots she's able to capture with the drone. Civilian drone pilots are operating in a legal gray area currently by flying below 400 feet in farmland areas around Houston. The Federal Aviation Administration is in the process of creating new regulations for the use of drone aircraft. Veteran Michael Wynn has transitioned from a Gulf War soldier to an ordained Zen monk, promoting the benefits of mindfulness for veterans who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. Wynn told the Huffington Post he would find himself getting into fights and having fits of rage before he wound up at the Plum Village Mindfulness Practice Center in France, founded by a Vietnamese Zen monk. Wen has been practicing and teaching mindfulness for the past 12 years. He now teaches veterans how to practice mindfulness and meditation to cope with the symptoms of PTSD. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by the Laura Presley for Austin City Council District 4 campaign. Laura made the runoff and needs your support. To donate or sign up to volunteer, visit PresleyForAustin.com. Political advertisement paid for by the Laura Presley campaign. Want to reach tens of thousands of like-minded listeners every day with your message or product? Well, the Liberty Beat is looking for sponsors for their daily news service. Support this grassroots media project while expanding your reach to a targeted market. To inquire further, just visit thelibertybeat.com/advertise. This is the Liberty Beat for Thursday, November 13th, 2014. I'm Brian Hagan, reporting. Reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Chris Ann Hall, Liberty's lobbyist. Go to Chris Ann Hall, KrisAnnehall.com, chrisannhall.com.
I know you're out there. I know that you're afraid. You're afraid of us. You're afraid of change. I don't know the future. I didn't come here to tell you how this is going to end. I came here to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to hang up this phone, and then I'm going to show these people what you don't want them to see. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. Where we go from there is a choice I leave to you.
The Chris Ann Hall Show.
Any varmint that crosses that lady's path has met its match. Come on!
Rise and shine, liberty-loving patriots. It is the common fate of the indolent to see their liberties stolen by the active. The condition upon which God grants liberty to man is eternal vigilance. And if that condition is broken, servitude is his punishment and the immediate indication of his guilt. John Philpott Curran said that in 1790, and it's no less true today. And we are watching our rights be stolen by the active while we do nothing. And now we are seeing the direct consequence of our silence. You see, the way that we are to protect our rights is to exercise our rights. And our failure to exercise our rights is having immediate and direct consequences on our children. Not only are their rights being removed, but they are not being taught to exercise their rights. Children learn from their parents. I know we like to shove them off in the schools and give their entire education over to the government, but the truth of the matter is, children learn more from their parents than they do from the schools. And we have an epidemic in this country of parents who will not exercise their rights. And our first story today, I have two stories that deal with the First Amendment, because the First Amendment is first on purpose. The First Amendment is what protects every other one, because if you don't have freedom of speech, then you don't have freedom of religion. If you don't have freedom of press, then you don't have freedom of speech. If you don't have freedom of speech or press, then you don't have the right to assemble. And if you cannot peaceably assemble, then you cannot petition the government for a redress of your grievances. It's very interesting when the one falls in the First Amendment. They all fall. They're all tied together. And we are losing these essential rights due to our failure to exercise them. See, if you don't exercise your rights, they're already gone. What good is freedom of speech if you never say anything controversial? And if you don't ever say anything controversial, because the First Amendment doesn't protect popular speech needs no protection. And if you never say anything controversial, how long before you can say nothing at all? And now we're seeing that. Christian students at a Colorado public school, high school, were told they could no longer meet and pray, sing religious songs, or discuss religious topics during free time, because such activity violated the U.S. Constitution, and filed a lawsuit in federal court. Now, Chase Winnebank is a senior at Pine Creek High School in Colorado Springs, according to Todd Starnes. 3 years ago, he started meeting together informally with his classmates for prayer and religious fellowship. The young people would meet in an unoccupied choir room to sing songs like Amazing Grace and to discuss issues of the day from religious perspectives. But on September 29th, Chase was summoned to the office by the assistant principal and told, "You can no longer pray during your free time because of separation of church and state." That's crazy. He was told that he could pray before school day begins or after the school day ends, but he could not do it during the school day. Can I mention to you, Chase is suffering from the indolence, failure to express their rights, and the active stealing them. See, this is a direct consequence of parents who refuse to engage in First Amendment. And so because we have this epidemic throughout our country of parents refusing to engage in their First Amendment rights, we have schools who can operate under this kind of error. I mean, this is such a no-brainer lawsuit. It really is. It's an unnecessary lawsuit that the taxpayers of Pine Creek are going to have to pay for. The Supreme Court is very well settled in this. Very well settled. For decades, students do not give up their First Amendment rights when they walk in the door. But how many cases have we seen like this throughout the years? Most recently, oh, you can't wear that T-shirt because it talks about God. You can't write a book report about that book because it talks about God. You know, this is something that is easily avoidable and easily remedied. Not by Chase, but by the parents around Chase. You see, if the parents around Chase had been exercising their right to freedom of speech and freedom of press and the freedom to assemble in expression of their freedom of religion, then the community of Pine Creek would be well aware of what the First Amendment means and the protections it affords. And the parents themselves would be well aware that their students carry these rights in their public high schools. Now, you know, I'm not a fan of government schools, and I'm even less a fan of Christian parents sending their children to government schools. But if you're going to send your child to a government school, Christian, then you need to train them up with the armor that they need to express their rights. But we have parents who are Christians who tell their children to shut up because they themselves are too afraid to say boo. You see, if Christian parents were actually engaging in the Great Commission, Christian parents were actually out evangelizing the way they were supposed to and not relying on preachers, ordained ministers to do this job, Chase would not be suffering this. I'm actually kind of glad Chase is, because we are training up a new generation of liberty warriors. New generation of the Liberty First Brigade who understand that we have an obligation to defend liberty. And when Chase goes through this and he gets this victory, he and his fellow students who have been meeting and praying together for 3 years will be more emboldened and more informed on their rights. And not only that, the school will be informed and everybody will be informed, but it ought not be this way. We ought not have to do this. We ought not have to engage in lawsuits over this. My goodness. Why do we have to do something that's already been done? Now, I just want to go over with you the students' rights on public school campuses. Now, these are rights that are ours inalienably, but not only that, they are reaffirmed by the Supreme Court of the United States and published also in a Bill of Student Rights form from the U.S. Department of Education. And so these are things that we should know And these are things that we should be, hello, is everybody listening to me? We should be encouraging our children to do. Now, the best source for this is from Liberty Counsel. I love looking to Liberty Counsel. They have done so much work in this area of freedom of speech, especially with our children. And it's right here. It took me a matter of 3 seconds to find this on the internet, and we should be passing this out all over the country. Can I call out a Liberty First Brigade action alert, please? Can we please pass this out? Print out the students' rights on public school campuses, please, and pass this out. Why don't we flood Pinecrest School District, or Pine Creek School District, with this document and end their ignorance? I'm going to call out, hello, Liberty First Brigade. I am going to call out the troops here. We need to send copies of this Liberty Counsel student rights on public school campuses. We need to send this out to the Pine Creek School District. I'm going to ask you to go to my Facebook page. I'm going to publish this on my website. A Liberty Brigade action alert. It's time that we publish this document. It's time that we print out this document and hand it out in our schools. It's time that we confront our school districts and start teaching them what they need to do. Hey, and what they need to know. Hey, Liberty First Brigade, can we please call out the troops? It really doesn't take that much time to print this out and just deliver it to your school district. And while you're doing it, email a copy to Pine Creek. We're going to go ahead and publish this out. You can find this article at Liberty Counsel, which is www.lc.org. Just go and Google Liberty Counsel Student Rights on Public School Campuses, and then email a copy of this document to the superintendent of the school district, which is Academy District 20. The superintendent's name is Mark Hatchell, Hatchell, and his email is mark.hatchell, Hatchell, at ASD as in dog 20.org. We need to flood this school district with this document. Can we do that, Liberty First Brigade? It won't take that long to email this document to him. And then while you're doing it, take a copy up to your school board and give it to them, and let them be informed as well. This is easy, Liberty First Brigade. We're always wondering what we can do. You can change the course of liberty by simply educating and informing. And when we come back, we're going to go over this student rights document so that you can be educated as well.
Chris Ann Hall Show. She's Liberty's lobbyist.
Welcome back to the Chris Ann Hall Show, where education is key to the maintenance of liberty, and here we are standing for our rights. And we are going to educate others today. We have called out the Liberty First Brigade to inform the school district in Colorado, the, what is it called? I forgot already. The Academy District 20 School District, the superintendent, Dr. Mark Hatchell, and they have brought a lawsuit against a young man for having Bible study and religious fellowship in the school in their free time. And so what we're going to do is we're going to contact Superintendent Mark Hatchell, And the Liberty First Brigade is going to email Mark Hatchell a copy of Liberty Council's student rights document. Student rights on public school campuses. Remember, his email is mark.hatchell, Hatchell, at asd20.org. And we're going to send him this document in hopes to educate this school district in the error of their ways for bringing a lawsuit against Chase Windebank, a senior at Pine Creek High School in Colorado Springs, for having religious prayer and fellowship with his classmates in their free time. So let's go over this Liberty Council document, which is a great document that tells us not just simply what our rights are, but what the Supreme Court says our rights are. And in these situations, you know, I don't give much credibility to the Supreme Court on these issues, but in this situation, when you're dealing with people who do not understand the lack of supremacy of the Supreme Court, this is what we need to use. This is what we're going to pull out of our quiver because that is the most valuable tool we have. Now, students on public school campuses enjoy constitutional protection of free speech, including religious speech. Student speech can be prohibited only when the speech activities, quote, substantially interfere with the work of the school or impinge upon the rights of other students, end quote. This is a Supreme Court case. This is a Supreme Court case called Tinker v. Des Moines Independent School District from 1969. This has been the Supreme Court's law of the land since 1969. And the court stated this, and I'm quoting the court now, "In our system, state-operated schools may not be enclaves of totalitarianism. School officials do not possess absolute authority over their students. Students in schools as well as out of school are persons under our Constitution. They are possessed of fundamental rights which the state must respect, just as they themselves must respect their obligations to the state. In our system, students may not be regarded as closed-circuit recipients of only that which the state chooses to communicate. They may not be confined to the expression of those sentiments that are officially approved. In the absence of specific showing of constitutionally valid reasons to regulate their speech, students are entitled to freedom of expression of their views." Hello. And if our parents knew this, we'd have more constitutionally active students in the classrooms. The Supreme Court also said, and I quote, "It can hardly be argued that either students or teachers shed their constitutional rights of freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gate." And the court recognized that when a student is in the cafeteria or playing on the field or on the campus during authorized hours, he may express his opinions, end quote. Students have the right to exercise their rights while on government school campuses, before and after, in between classes, in the cafeteria, and on the playing field. Students have the right of free speech during non-instructional time, and that's what Chase was doing. You know why? Because the government forces our children to be in school until the age of 16. And while they're under compulsory attendance, the government has an obligation to protect their rights to freedom of expression. You see, that's what we've lost, this understanding that the government has an obligation to protect our freedom of expression. And the only way they can stop it is if it materially or substantially interferes with the school. Get educated.
And some people wouldn't like that I was different. It never really mattered how hard it would be, 'cause she filled me with love and the strength to leave. She said, something down if you get it out.
The Chris Ann Hall Show. She's Liberty's lobbyist.
You know, I find it rather funny that we are talking about educating a school district. We're talking about our need to educate our schools. I'm sorry, I thought that's what our children were supposed to be doing in the schools, was getting educated. Educated on their Constitution, perhaps. Educated on their inalienable rights, perhaps. And here we are having to educate the school districts. Remember, Liberty First Brigade, we are going to send this document to Superintendent Mark Hatchell, and his email is mark.hatchell, Hatchell, at asd20.org. And we're going to send this document. We're going to flood this school district with this document. Please, please, please save our children. This is what we need to do. Our right to freedom of speech and our students' right to freedom of speech includes the right to distribute literature, according to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court considers the distribution of printed literature as pure speech. A peaceful distribution of literature is a protected form of speech, just like verbal speech. And the Supreme Court said, and I quote, that the right to distribute flyers and literature lies at the heart of the liberties guaranteed by the speech and press clauses of the First Amendment. From the time of the founding of our nation, the distribution of written material has been an essential weapon in the defense of liberty. End quote. Now, literature distribution includes anything in printed format, such as brochures, pamphlets, newspapers, cards, stamps, books, symbols, and pictures. And religious speech enjoys the same protection as political speech. Students not only have the right to verbal and written speech, they have the right to persuade, advocate, and even proselytize religious viewpoints. The Supreme Court recognizes that, and I quote, free trade and ideas mean free trade and the opportunity to persuade, not merely to describe facts. End quote. And this Tinker case makes this point clear. He says, the Supreme Court says, any departure from absolute regimentation may cause trouble. Any variation from majority's opinion may inspire fear. Any word spoken in a class, in the lunchroom, or on the campus that deviates from the views of another person may start an argument or cause a disturbance. But our Constitution says we must take this risk. And our history says that it is this sort of hazardous freedom, this kind of openness, that is the basis of our national strength and of the independence and vigor of Americans who grow up and live in this relatively permissive, often disputatious society. End quote. Your government schools are not allowed to require the students to submit their literature to a school official for review prior to distribution. You must remember, as you protect your children's rights, that printed speech enjoys the same rights as verbal speech. It would be considered unconstitutional and ridiculous for schools to preview all student verbal communication before it occurs, and it is similarly unconstitutional to do so with respect to printed communications. And the Supreme Court's decision in Tinker does not suggest that students may be required to announce their intentions of engaging in certain conduct beforehand, so that the school authorities may decide whether to prohibit or allow their conduct. The Supreme Court has unequivocally stated that prior notification is, and I quote, quite incompatible with the requirement of the First Amendment, end quote. Problem is, parents don't know this. And parents don't care to know this, because they don't want the obligation of speaking out on their own. This freedom of speech and freedom of expression applies to clothes and jewelry, class discussions and reports. And here, just to summarize for you, thanks to Matt Staver and Liberty Counsel, your students may engage in verbal speech during non-instructional time. They may distribute literature during non-instructional time. Schools may not preview literature prior to its distribution. Schools may not confine literature distribution to a designated spot or to a bulletin board. Students may meet around the flagpole with other students during non-instructional time for prayer. Students may engage in free speech during class so long as the speech is consistent with the topic being studied. Students may wear clothing with religious messages or symbols, including religious jewelry, on the same basis and in the same manner as the school allows secular words, symbol, or jewelry to be worn and displayed. They may wear clothing with religious words and symbols and wear religious jewelry during non-instructional time. They may give oral and written reports on religious topics so long as the report or presentation is consistent with the assignment. They may show and tell religious items so long as the items and the presentation is consistent with the assignment. They may form Bible clubs so long as the school allows at least one other non-curriculum student club. Bible clubs must be treated equally to other non-curricular related student clubs and be afforded equal access to facilities such as the bulletin board, intercom systems, annual club fair, school newspaper, yearbook, copy machine, financial support, and other benefits and facilities. These are your inalienable rights. And these are the rights that belong to your children. When are we going to start teaching them the truth? When are we going to start teaching them to speak up? You see, we have created a silent generation. A generation of indolent people who are not even aware of their rights. Ask your children today, what are the first 5 liberties? What are the 5 liberties identified in the First Amendment? Ask your neighbors that question. Remember that? That was something that we could do. A man on a street. And what kind of answer do you think you're going to get? Because you see, when you don't express your rights, they're already gone. But you can't express them if you don't know what they are. And we need to make sure that this school district, this Academy District 20, is flooded with the Student Bill of Rights so that they stop this ridiculous lawsuit and issue apology to Chase and his classmates. It doesn't have to be this way. We don't have to do this. We can actually save our children's rights with some very minimal work. I'm going to ask you, can you spare 5 minutes to send an email today? Can you do that? How about 5 minutes a day for the next 3 days? Send the same email 3 days in a row. Can you do that? We need to flood this district and get them educated so that our children can be free. Now, the other First Amendment case today we have is gun dealers who sue over California law barring window displays. These gun dealers have pictures of guns on their windows. And because we have been fundamentally transformed, do you remember? Let me remind you of what Eric Holder said we need to do.
I've also asked the school board to make a part of every day some kind of anti-violence, anti-gun message. Every day, every school, at every level. One thing that I think is clear with young people and with adults as well is that we just have to be repetitive about this. It's not enough to simply have a catchy ad on a Monday and then only do it every Monday. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
And there you have it. We have been so brainwashed that we now have government regulation that allows prohibition of even the image of guns. I'll remind you, in Florida, a school district suspended a little boy for a Pop-Tart shaped like a gun. This is the result of clear brainwashing. And now these Californians can't even hang pictures of guns. 4 Golden State gun dealers are challenging the law. Thank God for some people who are standing up, saying it's their First Amendment right to advertise their wares. And that's absolutely right. You see, there is a principle in law, because this is how you deal with these people, that says if the government allows certain pictures to be hung, they can't prohibit others based on the content. So if other businesses throughout the community can advertise their products on their windows, well, the grocery stores do it all the time. You see pictures of laundry detergent and vegetables and stuff like that. Well, because those businesses are allowed to advertise their wares in their windows, the government cannot prohibit others from doing it based on what they're selling. I love this statement by Michael, Barilla, the owner of Tracy Rifle and Pistol. He says, I run one of the most heavily regulated and inspected businesses in existence, but it's still illegal for me to show customers that I sell handguns until after they walk in the door. The First Amendment prevents the government from telling businesses what they can and cannot advertise just because they don't like what they're advertising. That is a clear violation of the First Amendment. Clear, according to the First Amendment, obviously, but also clear according to the Supreme Court of the United States. And these gun stores and firing ranges have been fined $3,000 because they refuse to take down the photos. You know what? I hope that they will continue to express their rights so that you and I won't lose them. These are the kind of patriots that we need. These are the kind of patriots that we must support. Support Chase in his school. Send that document to the school district. We need to support these California business owners who are standing for your rights. For you. They're refusing to be the indolent. Let's make the active the victors in liberty and not the oppressors.
The Chris Ann Hall Show. She's Liberty's lobbyist. Chris Ann Hall Show. She's Liberty's lobbyist.
Well, this is an active day for the Liberty First Brigade, and I want to thank you for your activity because we are being educated in liberty here so that we can defend it. Remember, if you're not exercising your rights, you're not defending your rights, and they're already gone. And these people, Chase at his high school in Colorado, and these gun owners, and these gun dealers in California, are defending your rights, yours. And we need to stand with them. We need to stop relying on the government to fix itself. We need to exert the power of we the people. We are the power. We are the force. Do you know why? Because these are our rights. They're not the government's. And just because the government doesn't like what we have to say, they don't have the power to stop us from saying it. I don't care if people are upset at the sight of a gun. The First Amendment is not there to protect popular speech. It is to protect unpopular speech. And if this state had an attorney general who understood our rights, then this lawsuit would not be happening. This is the power of the attorney general. California Attorney General Kamala Harris should be defending these people's liberties and not trying to prevent them. not trying to destroy them. But we don't know that from our attorney generals, especially here in Florida. Pam Bondi, who just won again, and I just scratch my head. I just don't understand this. Pam Bondi, who just won again, who has declared the Fourth and Second Amendments the enemy to her administration here in the state of Florida. God help us in Florida, because we don't have an attorney general that understands that her job is to protect our rights and not steal them. But we need to contact the Attorney General in California, Kamala Harris, and let her know how upset we are at the fact that she is not defending the rights of the people. Oh, well, that's California. They're just crazy over there. You know what? Not all of California is lost. As a matter of fact, Northern California is extremely conservative. They're trying to split from California. There's a group there called the State of Jefferson that is trying to split. We've had them on our show. We've talked about their movement. And if California can defeat someone's rights with an attorney general who doesn't understand her responsibility to defend them, then guess what? Florida's next, because we already have an attorney general who doesn't understand her obligation. Pam, I'm the Fox conservative hypocrite. Liar. Bondi. Yeah, we need to be sending her emails. But you know what? If we don't stand behind these people now, then we have no right to complain about what happens in this country. I am begging you, Liberty First Brigade. You see, we didn't stand because it wasn't us. First, they came for our students, and I didn't speak up because I wasn't a student. Then they came for our gun owners and our gun stores. I didn't speak up because I wasn't a gun owner and I wasn't a gun store. Then they came for the preachers in the streets, but I didn't speak up because I wasn't a preacher in the street. And then they came for me. And by that time, there was no one left to speak up for me. It's time to wake up. It's time to speak up. It's time to defend liberty. And if not you, then who? If not now, then when? Mercy Otis Warren said, "We will stand against tyranny today, or our children will bow tomorrow." Our children are already bowing, America. But it's not too late to stand. Let's make sure that we take this Liberty First Brigade action today. Promise to do this in the next 24 hours. And let's defend liberty with the people who are standing in our stead. God bless.
Chris Ann Hall, Liberty's lobbyist. Go to Chris Ann Hall, KrisAnnehall.com, KrisAnnHall.com. The Pete Santilli Show on the Guerrilla Media Network, telling you the truth, whether you like it or not. GuerrillaMediaNetwork.com. Don't wait until another natural or man-made disaster strikes. Have at least 72 hours of emergency gear near you at all times, and that includes food. Get your emergency food supply today. Go to freeamericaradio.us, and at the top of the page, click on the emergency food supply link. Help your family by purchasing as much emergency food supply as you need. You'll be helping out your family and Free America Radio Network. Thank you. Catch up on the latest news and controversy and more on The Spencer Hughes Show on Spreaker.com and SpencerHughes.net.
Sarasota's home for R&B and soul. The Razorblade Express with Dave the Rave.
And will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Ah, damn politicians. My mother always told me this country would be screwed if the liberals had their way. The only sanity I get is when I listen to Jeff Wagner on the Conservative Voice, only on the Conservative Radio Network.
Eastland Radio Repertory Theater is looking for you. Are you a voice actor? Do you want to hone your abilities? Please send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Theater at USA.com. We are currently looking for voice actors to fill certain character roles in an ongoing radio play in development. Please send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Theater at USA.com.
Sharing the truth one fact at a time. This is the Free America Radio Network.
Tearing down the walls that stand between freedom and tyranny, revealing who is behind the curtain, pushing the buttons and pulling the handles, sharing the truth one fact at a time. From behind enemy lines in FEMA Region 9, from the biggest little city in the world, this is The Views Expressed Live.
Get ready.
Hey, folks, welcome back. How are you? You like that Chris Ann Hall show, huh? Yeah, she's right. Parents, get your butts up and start learning what's going on in your schools. Or in the governmental indoctrination institutes. Yeah. It's your obligation, right? You feed your kids, don't you? You put clothes on their back, don't you? You got shelter, don't you? And then there you go. Oh boy, I'm going to take off a little early, but let me give a big shout out to Mr. Bob Brutus over at WakingUpTheMasses.com, and also Brian Lang over at LiveTruthRadio.com as well, and Mr. Brian Keller over at ShakeandWakeRadio.com. Yeah, go to also, let's not forget, Mr. Nick Tucker over at Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook. Check that out as well. What else? Oh, yeah. If you want to support this network, you can. You can donate if you'd like. Go to freeamericaradio.weebly.com and donate as much as you can. I know it's tough. I know. Hey, just, if you want to sponsor the show, you can do that. Go to the sponsors page. I'm not out to break your advertising budget, and that's the way I like it. So, hey, if you like this network, help out. Also, get your emergency food supply while you can. Yes. Yes, before the next man-made or natural disaster happens, get your emergency food supply now. Go to freeamericaradio.weebly.com, and you'll be helping out your family and Free America Radio Network. Also, there's an alternate site that you can go to just in case. You know, you never know. You never know. There's an alternate site, and it is AmericanLibertyRadio.wix.com/ALR network. Yes, go check that out. That would be AmericanLibertyRadio.wix.com/ALR network. Yes. Yes. And questions? I'm sure you have plenty. Email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com, freeamericaradio@usa.com. No question is off limits. Ask me anything you like. If I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. It's that simple. There you go, folks. There you go. Hey, I'm going to get out of here a little early. I want to thank you for listening, of course, and I'm going to get out of here. So I got things to do. Hey, I got a life outside of this radio show, you know. It's okay. Hey, come back and join me tomorrow at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on the Free America Radio Network here on Spreaker.com and also on freeamericaradio.weebly.com. Go check that out as well. And I shall talk to you guys tomorrow. And remember something. I always like to leave you with something, and I say this all the time. So check this out. We the people have the power, for we are America. Good night, folks.